Uh-oh. Wrong screen. Help in the control room, he says. Help in the control room. There we go. Well, that was an entry, wasn't it? I forgot to switch over the screens to see the real time up top. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bradley McAllister, founder of Spirocraft, and this is Spirocraft Live on a Thursday afternoon. All right, let's see. Michael's in here, Jeff's in here, Buttermilk. Michael again. Good afternoon, everybody. That was pretty funny. I looked up and I realized that I was looking at the 20-second delayed feed on the upper monitor, and I was like, I don't know when to start talking. So I saw myself run off the screen and then back on. Hey, Rich, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Frank. So yeah, I was, I of course thought I was 100% completely ready, and then I wasn't. But hey, it's nothing uncommon for me out here. Today I have this piece of, I'm 90% sure it's a piece of maple. It's a piece I've had over in the storage building next door for a long time. If you saw any of the pictures I posted earlier, it is what I call figured and featured, meaning it's got a bunch of wavy, crazy, curly grain in it, and it's got a bunch of holes and limbs and all that kind of stuff. And you guys know me, I like to work with wood that is challenging. I guess I'm too cheap to go out and buy $60 blanks, and I like to use these kind of blanks because they're what anybody might run into if you're harvesting your own wood and you don't want to waste anything. The good wood is easier to work with. It's got no limbs and knots and all that stuff in it. And I don't know what it is. I've just always enjoyed it, and I think it's because I like the finished piece that has the extra character to it. It does make it harder. You know, it's not perfect wood. The knots and the limbs and all that and the cracks, they make the tools jump around and bounce, and it makes a little bit more work. But I've kind of always enjoyed it. And I was looking around today. I was going to cut some pecan off the logs. And then I said, well, let me go look and see what I've got that's dry. And this thing is really heavy and dense and hard. When I was cleaning it up, it's quite hard. Harder than the maple I have usually is, so who knows where it came from. But nonetheless, I'm going to have a fun with it, as I always do. I currently have it mounted on a faceplate here on my Nova Nebula lathe here, which I have been loving to death. And I've cleaned up the round, and I've kind of cleaned up this back surface here. You can see I've cleaned it up. It's got a knot hole in here, and it's got a split that runs through it. Now this is going to be the bottom, so some of that will get turned away. And on the edge, we've got a knot hole that kind of maybe runs with this little limb thing over here. And then we've got the very end grain And we got some ambrosia, and we got another limb that's getting cut off right there. And then we've got this wavy, crazy grain pattern right here, right next to that knot hole. So we've kind of got a lot of different little features in there. And the plan is to make a platter out of it, a kind of a basic platter, put a wide rim on it, something that can be decorated up after the fact. So that's the plan for today. Let me take a look over here and see what's going on. Rich is talking with somebody out there. Okay. You guys are all good. So you're not asking me questions, so I won't worry about you. Again, I've got this on a faceplate, and it is screwed in with number 10 SPAC style screws. So the next thing to do is go ahead and work on putting a tenon in here. Probably clean this up just a little bit more, and we'll put a tenon on this guy. And I'm going to use a Supernova today. And I'm trying to start to do more recesses. Jeff Peters, am I going to dye the platter or use stencils? That's way ahead of today. I don't know, Jeff. That would be a good thing to do. This will be a good one that I could do that with. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to make a pretty good size. Although it's bigger than I want. Let me look at what else I got hanging around here. This might be a better choice. I don't need that big a recess. So this happens to be a Supernova as well. So Jeff, I know you've been after me to use the stencils, and it is on the list. Okay. And I was looking for my inside calipers. I've got a matching pair of these calipers, and I have an inside set, but of course me looking for something last minute, I couldn't find it. So I'll use my outside calipers to make my tenon. And that'll be fine. Howdy-do. Got all kinds of sales coming up here real soon. Springtime sale, if you will. Some of you seen in Rich obviously knows the Saturn is on sale. The Nova Saturn. It's got a great sale going on. That's currently going on. And then starting on the 10th of April, I'm going to have spring sale at Spirocraft. Easy Wood Tools, Carter & Son Tools, pretty much everything on the website. We're going to have a big discount. So save up your pennies. It'll run till the end of the month, I think it is. It's going to run till the 30th. So you get your tax return right away. After the 15th, you can come in and buy some stuff. Most of the products are going to be 20% off that we carry. So look forward to that. Did I say the Saturn? Yes, I did say this. I meant the Galaxy. Thank you for correcting me, Rich. I should know better, right? But I don't know why I had Saturn on my head. You never know. I come up with all kinds of crazy things in my head. The Galaxy. That's why I use the Galaxy picture in the background on the video. All right, let's clean this guy up a little bit more. And there's that's funny, 3 little holes in there. Oh, that's because I started to make a tenon, or started to put the faceplate back there. So I'm going to pop you into the end camera. Now I've kind of got it zoomed in to where you can see the middle and up to the top and the side. You don't see the whole piece, but then again, you don't need to. SWAT, going to AAW. Going on a little tour in September. I might be in Colorado and then in Pennsylvania after SWAT. This is running currently at 700 RPMs. Let's see how it acts. She's acting pretty good. Let's see here. So I can't believe I was staring at this tool and didn't see it for the longest time. I was looking all over for this particular one, and I was like, where's it at? A little bit big. That's about right on the money. Okay? And I'm actually going to use, because I'm not biased, I'm going to grab a square cutter just to start in on this guy. Especially if I can find one that's not negative rake. But I don't really care. Here's one that's not. Would have been nice if it was sharp. But I just wanted to set that line a little bit more. Yeah, okay. Alright, that one's not too sharp, and I'm not going to take time. So I'll go back to my Carter & Son gold gouge. And I've got my tailstock up here, which I'm going to want back, but it's in the way at the moment. Let me see if I can get my live center out of there so I don't put a hole in my arm. Alright, I'm going to grab a small square cutter, and I need to come up. Let's let that brake kick in. I love the brake on this lathe. This Nebula with the brake is a fantastic thing. Clean that up a little bit more. I've always been a tenon guy from when I started turning. And so it's never too late to start trying new things. Double check that I'm happy with the size. Yeah, that should do the trick. And we'll double check it again. Little teeny bit deeper. Okay. We'll put a little bit of angle on it. Dovetail. Alright, let's stop. And double check that we're going to be happy with that. And then we'll go about shaping on this guy. Sorry for my arms in the way. There we go. Okay, that looks good. That'll do the trick. Good deal. Alright, so now we can go about our business here. Now it's going to be interesting to see how this guy plays out, and I probably should come up here and clean. Let me switch over here because I want to know where I'm going. So I'm going to switch up here to the top, turn my tool rest, and I'm just going to clean up this front edge, and I'll just take a square carbide cutter so I know exactly where this front end is. Okay. It's just always nice to know where you're working to. And looks like we've got a little further to go. I know this thing is hard because the chips are instantly hot coming off of it. Okay, and so we have cut face all the way around, so that's cleaned up. So now I know where I'm going as we start to shape. Now I'm going to get a bigger gouge out. I'm going to use a 5/8, still Carter & Son, put a little more tool, and you can be sure that when I get to this knot area, it's going to bounce. And this knot right here is certainly going to bounce. Hey Joe, how you doing? I'll bet you've been out riding your motorcycle a lot in this spring weather, Joe. I saw a touring machine the other day. I see him go by the house right now like it's spring break down here, and even the little town of Metter is covered up with people. And when I see the dress bikes go by, I think of Joe. Think of you, Joe. Alright, let's start in on this guy. Make sure I'm zipped up. Like I said, the holes will make the tool want to jump, and that's just part of life with this. And I'm just drawing across here, and I'm going to leave a little base on this one today, something like that, somewhere in there. I was thinking about that while I was eating a sandwich. And actually, I think I'm going to pull this tailstock off and get it out of my way so I can lean over. Try not to get my shoulder in y'all's way, but give myself a little more room to work. Going to the Keys next Saturday. That'd be great. That would be great. I would meet you somewhere along the way, except that next Saturday I think I'm going up to the mountains. I'd run down to Savannah and meet up and say hello. This is the tool rest that needs to get dropped all the way down. There we go. All right. And so right out there on the corner is where a lot of the goofiness is. So as you get past the voids, life gets better again. But you get, see, and you know, once we cut past the void here, and some of this split may live with it, we're still going to have some nice grain there. We just have to deal with the bark inclusion and all that as we go. But the trade-off is we get interesting character that we wouldn't otherwise get. Jeff Peters is going to Minnesota. Not quite as warm. It's still snowing up there somewhere. I know Roland Johnson's up in Minnesota. and he keeps getting snow like crazy. Now I did just freshly sharpen this tool. That wood is really hot coming off of there. But we're working our way. That split, like I say, it may be just part of the piece. We've got great character in here, but we're working our way through this mess of gnarly inclusions and whatnot, and the end of that limb. But it's not too bad. It's not giving me as much trouble as I thought it might want to. So I've got about 1.5 inches up here on the top still. Must be that crack right there. Let me see what's making it bounce right there. Oh yeah, so as we took more wood off, we opened up a new void. That's one of the fun parts of the mysteries of working with wood that's got inclusions in it. You're never quite sure when one's going to show up. And somehow I have my wire outside my jacket. So hang on just a minute while I tuck this wire away. I must have been in a hurry. Safety first, you know. Okay, so new bark inclusion just showed up. Thank you, not. But then again, that's part of what comes with the territory. All right. Now I'm trying to decide what kind of profile I want to leave with this. Got that nice little base there. Let's try something here. A little bit smaller tool, it's a little bit fresher. Hey, that's not too bad. You can see this quilting and feather in here, and the grain's trying to tear out right here. So we're going to take the speed up some. We're going to jump on up to 1020 and see if we can get it to clean up just a little bit for us. Much nicer. See if we can make one more pass. All right, let's take a look at that. Nice everywhere, but right in this, where this craziness is. I don't think changing directions is going to help that. Typically it won't, but I'll try anything once. Because you never know. Sometimes you kind of have to go against the rules. Looks like it was making it shake a lot. That actually did clean it up. It's still not perfect. That might just take some sanding. I could put a sealer on there and it would cut cleaner, but we're not going to spend the time on that this morning. You think a negative rake will clean that up, Michael? I'd give it a try just for yucks. I'm not beyond it. Let's see what it does. Here is a radius negative rake. Let me shut this off and raise this up. We'll see if Michael's idea works, because anything is possible. It'll either make it smoother or lift it all up, one of the two. Actually about the same, Michael. Didn't really change it much. It's still lifted up right here and right there. Be nice to get that out of there. I don't believe this standard. I don't have a negative rake scraper ground up in here. I doubt this one will do it. Typically that tends to lift a lot of stuff up. So it's still about the same. Still about the same. But we've still got an inch to go up here on the top. And if you see here from the overhead, that's our profile that we've got. We've got plenty of material here to work with. That's our top clean edge right there. Okay. So for fun, totally for fun, let's take what is a 1/4 or 3/8 traditional grind, also considered a bottom feeder. Sometimes just switch into a small cutter can make a difference, and sometimes it won't make a bit of difference. So let's just for fun, since we're having fun and we got time, you see I've got my finger way up on the tool there to kind of stabilize it. I get some more tool marks because it's such a light cut or small tool, and it's bouncing right there. Getting really hot, so I lifted my finger up. But let's see if it took care of that. So by golly, check this out. Truth is stranger than fiction sometimes. That little teeny tool, though I got some tool marks from it, I have virtually no torn grain now. So it there's a little bit right in here. This stuff is just nasty, this little stretch right here. All right, but that, now all I need to do is come across there without any tool marks. All right, that really cleaned that up. And I know it's not zoomed in super tight, but that made a big difference. So I will try and make one more pass with it and see if I can get a smooth cut, no tool marks kind of cut. Nope. Got a little deeper than I wanted there now. Have to come back and clean that up. Okay, that's not bad. It's a little more sanding than a person would like to do, but it's not bad. I'm going to put some alcohol on here just so you can see what that grain looks like. Hopefully it'll pop up and show you before we turn this around. Where's my ice pick? There it is. So this is a piece I think that would lend itself to, other than maybe some stencil work like Jeff is talking about, being a natural piece. Although color, could enhance the flame on it. Be kind of fun to see what it did with some color to it. I always like to color things. I'm bad that way. But some nice figure in there. Okay, so we're going to leave that well enough alone. We can always come fuss with it again after the fact in a set of bowl jaws. Pop you back up here. Well, I'll turn that base. I'll turn that base away once I get done. I'll get rid of all this. So when I put it back, when it's all done on the front side, I'll put it in the bowl jaws, because this base is too long, Michael. So Facebook user. So I will cut this base down. Okay. Because it's way too tall. I don't need it that tall, and that'll take care of those inadvertent screw holes when I put the faceplate on the wrong side to start with. It's nice to know nothing gets by you guys out there. And now you can see here the top side has its own features. It's got a knot hole in it, and one thing and another. These screws are just about worn out. After a while, you got to give up and buy another box. They actually have a square drive. It looks like a Phillips. It's a Phillips square. But after however many uses, they start to get stripped out like anything else does. I could put a bead down there. You're right, Joe. The question is, like I said, I think that base is a little tall right now. I could glorify it and leave it tall like that with one of the fancy new beading tools, indeed. But when you look at it, you can see that's a pretty tall base. It could be half of that. Realistically, at least in my mind. Jeff Peters got to go back to work. Well, be careful out there. Keep those new guys straight, okay? Keep those new guys straight. Pop back up here. All right. That's not bad. Yeah, I'm glad that Rich, you corrected me, and that it's the Galaxy, not the Saturn lathe that's on sale. And Spirocraft has it at $27.99, including shipping to your door, which is a great price. And it comes with a Supernova light chuck, an insert, and the premium extended warranty. So that's a good deal. Okay. Now hopefully the split that's in this thing right here isn't going to open up any more than that. And we will come around to the front side here. And what I'll do is I'll cut you there and the overlay on the top. And that shouldn't be in the way too much. Let's see. I think I'm going to raise that camera up just a little teeny bit. So let's take this guy up just a fuzz. To right about there. That way you can still see the outer rim. And I'll move it. I think this is, oh, wrong direction. I had a 50-50 shot of getting that right, didn't I? Let's set it up like so. Excuse me, so that you can see all the way on the inside there. And make sure I got that focus where I want it. It shouldn't have changed. Okay. Cool beans. All right. So I had it running at 1,000. I've turned it back down to 250 just to check it. It's got a little bit of run out. And I don't know if that's from that opening up. That'd scare me if it is. But we're going to go up to 750. And clean this face up. Drop that tool rest back down. Now there's a knot out there, remember that. take a look. So that's a big old knot. So let's see, excuse my reach. Let's see if anything is loose in here. If it's loose, I'm going to pry it out of there now. If it's tight, then we're okay. But there's no need in having it come flying. Now this is going to get cut away. But I just don't want to get hit with anything that I don't have to. And it's really weird. So you got really, really hard wood right here. And this is super soft and punky right here where the limb is. Okay. So I'm going to decide what I want my rim thickness to be here, at least initially, and hopefully get rid of that knot hole. Okay, so I can have a rim out here that's about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, and then take away this knot hole. So the knot hole's right in here. We're kind of doing a little mining here, if you will. So we can figure out our shape. Okay, so there's the knot hole. So it'd be nice to have a nice clean rim up here that doesn't have any knot hole in it. All right. I'm going to change the handle on this banjo so I can lean up in here a little bit closer. You know, you can work all the way from the outside, or you could do what I'm doing here and do a little depth hole in the middle there and then work your way to it. Let's see what that grain looks like in there. So there's my knot hole making noise. There's my screw holes from my faceplate. We knew that would be there. So that's actually got bark in it, in the bark inclusion. Take a look and see if we're getting rid of anything or if it's getting bigger. Sometimes it goes away, sometimes it gets bigger. This guy has there's a split right there that we didn't see before. Okay. We're about an inch thick uniform right now. So, we've got enough material that we can still take away. Let's, for fun, switch over to our 1/2 inch. Move this tool rest in a little bit closer. Right about here is where it gets kind of burly, where that bark inclusion is. So I lighten up. So I was here and I kind of backed off to take a lighter cut where the bark inclusion is. Okay. Come all the way back up here. See if it's getting better or worse. So the hole's getting bigger. There's a split there. So let's mow some of this away in the middle now. It is quite hard. And let's go ahead and take our speed up now. We'll get a little cleaner cut. We went up to 1020. Let's see what that's looking like. So obviously we're not going to get rid of this because we'll run out of wood, and it actually matches up with a bit of it on the back side. So that could get filled. We can fill that with, if we want to, we can fill it with some brown gel resin and blend that in. The last one I did out here, the brown, I don't know if you remember seeing it or not. It looked quite good. It looked fairly natural, which is what we're after. Okay. All right, so let's see if we can clean up the face of the rim. See if we can make ourselves happy up here. There's a little knot right there. Let's see if when we draw on this, what we get. Do a little scrape across there. Lightly clean that up. That's not too bad at all. That'll clean up nice. So this is going to give us a fit no matter what we do. Just because it's going to make anything bounce. So I'm going to take a second and go run and sharpen this gouge up. Now this is, I haven't put I've been bad. I haven't put the camera in place over here at the sharpening stand yet. And you can slap me on the wrist for that. So you won't be able to see what's going on, unfortunately. And I have too many things in here as well. But we'll get some of that out of the way. And I am using, without changing cameras, the woodcut jig. The jig works really well, locks in real nice. I'm going to change this just a little bit. So if I want to do a little shear with it, I can. I've lengthened the wings just a little bit. All right, let's see. So it was a little shorter in the wing, and I lengthened that wing up. I didn't bother to grind all the way down into there. And back to the on position. And let's go after this knot here. Okay, and for fun now, I'm going to grab my small one wherever I hit it, if it still has an edge left on it. Into the hole right there. Okay, so right where the inclusion is making the tool bounce, and it's making a ridge right there. So let's try our little regular scraper right in here. See if we can flatten that out. It doesn't bounce nearly as much. I'm not sure if it's lifting the grain up or not. And it certainly doesn't bounce nearly as much. Lifts the grain a little bit. Nothing that wouldn't sand away, but it's a lot nicer on the knot area. And it takes that ridge away. Okay, so it's shaped up pretty nice. There's a little, I lifted a little bit here in the end grain with the scraper, but it sure worked better around the knot hole. I had a lot more control there, and sometimes that's kind of the thing when you're, oops, come here, controller. When you're working with these kind of crazy pieces of wood that have these holes and the knots and the splits, and you want to keep them in there, they provide that challenge. So sometimes you kind of have to bounce around through your tool kit, if you will, to find what's going to do what you need for that situation. And it may not always go by kind of the book, because the book doesn't talk about turning knots and limbs and cracks and holes and things like that. You're supposed to be working with really nice wood. So sometimes you have to experiment a little bit and go off the beaten path and try different tools. And as Michael said, Michael McEwen, try the negative rake scraper in there. In this case, it didn't do anything different. It came out the same. But that's the whole idea. When you're messing with goofy stuff, don't be afraid to try different tools. Just because it's got a name of an XYZ doesn't mean that that's all you can do with it. It might have the shape, the profile, or whatever that you need to get the task at hand done. Now the next thing I'm going to do, and the last thing on this, is the end grain here on this outer rim is pretty punky still. All right, so I've got it back up to higher speed now, and I'm going to see if I can clean this up without losing a whole lot of diameter. As I'd hate to be sanding that end grain, so I'm going to see if I can get that to cut cleanly. All right. I mean, we've gotten all kinds of different shavings out of this today, and actually, all in all, it's cut. If it didn't have the knot holes and the bark inclusions and stuff in it, it would actually have cut pretty nicely. Okay. So let's see if we can't clean up this edge here. Put you in the overhead. And again, because it's got funky grain running through it, and it's got knot holes in it and divots, we're going to experiment a little bit and see what does best. Okay, we are turning at 1,020. So this is actually, Carter 3/8, Carter & Son Tools 3/8. It would be a Sorby quarter. And let's see what it's doing for our end grain. So it's actually a little better. I'm going to throw this on the grinder real quick and freshen it up. I'm just doing this on a platform. Let's see if that does me any good. I'm just taking the lightest cut possible. I'm still getting some lines there though, because it's bouncing on that knot. But it's cutting pretty clean on the end grain there. Let's see what happens if we actually shear scrape with this little guy. Just those fine little angel hairs. See if we can get that tool mark out and not lift the grain up. Much, much better. So now we don't have all that torn grain. This is still, this chip or divot is in that knot right there. Right, and I would have to take a fair bit of it away. I mean, I could. The other thing I could do would be take one of those nice beading tools and bead these two corners over. You know, Joe had mentioned this, bead this guy up, and I would just come at him kind of funny. Let's try it just for fun, since we're working with them, or we have them here to work with. And we've got a little time left. Just now 2 o'clock, a little after 2. So again, I've got all 4, each one on a different handle. So the question is, what do I want to do? And I think that's the 1/8 and the 3/16. I think I'll take the 3/16 and see what I'm coming in at like 45 degrees. And I'm going to have to make some changes after I do this, most likely. Because, you know, I'm going to bead both corners, right? So if I'm going to bead both corners, what we can do is we've got these 2 lines here now. Okay, and we can connect this. We can scallop this out. Let's say, excuse me. Let's take a negative rake just for fun. And we're just going to profile a cove in here, right up to the lines we made with our beaters. Okay? That's the beauty of wood turning. You can do anything you want to with a piece. So now we've got our rounded corner here, and we've got a little cove in the middle of it. Now we did lift the grain up there a little bit, nothing that wouldn't sand away. Now back here on the back side, which is not true, we have a little groove there. And on the front side, we have just a little teeny one, which we can probably fix that up quite easy. And then our back side isn't quite true anyway. Let me change camera for you there. There you go. So we'll let that bead stand kind of proud. And we just clean that up. And so now our bead kind of rolls over the front there. And the back side, we've got to fix it up some anyhow, because it's not turning totally true. Now we can try and do it where it sits, or we can wait till we turn it back around. But we can definitely take a shot at it while it's here. And let's put you overhead and do that. That overlay won't do anything for you. We'll just turn it off. Tool rest into the chuck. That check corner needed to be cleaned up anyway. So this whole back side is out around a little bit. Something with a little more body to it. All right. And we'll clean that up. We're going to have to clean that up when we turn it back around because of the bounce off of the goofy enough. But we're going to try right now real quick, left-handed, with our little teeny 1/4/3/8 just for yucks. And we're going the wrong direction. We know that. I'm getting too much bounce there. It'll be much better served when we turn it back around, which is no big deal. Okay. So let's take a look at what the inside of this looks like. Now that we have it turned away, I'm going to move some of these tools out of here. Clean up my space just a touch. So again, I think I'll do a fill on this. We can do decorations on this rim. You know, Jeff Peters is gone. He's been wanting to see some stencil work, and that rim would be a good one for stencil work. Let's just kind of see what this guy looks like. So over there by the knot hole is where things are a little fuzzy. But there's some interesting pattern in this, even with all its holes in it. Holes and cracks. That makes a very nice piece. And you didn't have to go out and pay $60 for the blank, and you wouldn't pay $60 for a blank with holes in it anyway, because that would just be crazy. All right. So, gang, what do you think? A quick little platter made out of what some people wouldn't turn. Works out pretty nicely. It's hard as a rock and decent size. What is this thing, about 14 inches? 13, pretty close, but you know, not a bad platter. Like I say, we'll fill this hole, that big void there, and we'll use a brown resin. We'll fill that, which will look natural, and then we can decorate up on the rim. And I'll put it in a set of, you know, big jumbo jaws, bull jaws, and clean up this back end. And so we'll clean up the back side, and we'll take this down, because we don't even need the recess once we're done. So we can clean this foot up to where it's just a nice short little foot. Screw holes are gone, and we'll make it flat all the way across there. It'll have a nice base. That'll work great on the dining room table. So that was a fun little project, and it didn't take long. It's only $214. Now, I'm not going to sand in here, obviously, and you don't want to watch me sand. I don't sand in here. I sand in the other shop. Now the other shop is coming along. So I've got the old Colt lathe over there. I can put it on the Colt and sand her up. It's nice having another shop over there. I've just about got it set up to be fully functional, getting close. Any kind of questions? Because we're going to wrap this up here today so that we aren't just wasting time. I had a good time. A nice little platter came out of this, and one more piece of wood out of my way from the next building over. So if anybody's got any questions or comments, I am wide open to anything you might have to. If you have anything to add or want to know about, just let me know. And if not, I'll wait a couple minutes here. And if not, well, then we'll cue the music and call it a day. I love being out here doing Spirecraft Live. I have a lot of fun. It's a good time. You know, the last couple of shows have been a little bit shorter, which, hey, that's okay. 2 hours sometimes is a long time. If I keep them at an hour, that's reasonable. I don't worry about whether it's an hour or 2 hours, to be quite honest. At 2 hours, I will stop, as usual. Michael says, anyone else joining us in the booth at AAW? Jeff Peters says he's going to. He's going to be there with Derek Catamus. Those guys are coming down. And Michael, I don't know if your wife is coming. I know my wife is not coming up. I don't know if Don Rollins from Comercraft is coming or not. He might. He made a little bit of noise about it, but I'm not sure. Other than that, no. We have a small booth, much smaller booth this year than last year. Mr. Roper won't be with us. He might be with us at SWAT. Going solo. Okay, so you're coming solo. Well, honestly, if it's as busy as it was last year, we can handle it. You know, I think we've got it set up to where we can do it. And again, it's not going to be as big, won't have as much display, so not as much to put up, not as much to take down. Just a double instead of 6 booth spaces, and all the trappings. Going to be a little smaller setup. Make it easy. Make it easy on ourselves. And we'll still have a good time. We'll still have a lot of fun. Well, gang, looks like there's not any other questions. Yeah, Michael, I'm looking forward to it as well. So I will cue the music, and I will see you all next week. Next week, maybe I'll cut into that pecan. Depends on what the weather does, and bring some green pecan in here, year-old green. You never know what I'll do next week. All right. Looking forward to whatever it is, though, and I appreciate everybody coming out. And like I said, you guys keep your eyes peeled for the sales and notices about the Spiracraft Spring Sale coming up on the 10th. Gonna have all kinds of goodies for sale. And I'm a mess. All right, let's see here. I think it's number 6. Y'all have a good weekend.